All right, question 47. In a window display to a flower shop, there are 3 spots for 1 plant each. To fill these 3 spots, Emily has 6 plants to select from, each of a different type. Selecting from the 6 plants, Emily can make how many possible display arrangements with 1 plant in each spot? Note the positions of the unselected plants do not matter. So we have 3 spots for 6 plants. So of those 6 plants, let's think about that first spot. How many different plants can we choose from to put in that first spot? Well, 6. Any of the 6 we can put in that first spot. But that means we've put a plant in this spot. So now the second spot, how many different plants can we choose from? Well, now there's just 5 because we've placed a plant in this first spot. So we've placed one here. So that means for the third spot, there's only 4 plants left to choose from. 6 times 5 times 4 is 120. That's the counting principle. All right, so we've got this diagram. We've got some information here. Feel free to read it. You don't need to because we're given all the information we need in this diagram. 48. In terms of A and B, what is the area in square coordinate units of triangle MPQ? So we want to find the area of this triangle. The formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So this is my base. My height would be this distance from the vertex of angle Q straight down to the base. Okay, so we should be able to count both of those lengths. So the base is the distance from M to P. If we look down here, M is at 2A, P is at 6A. So that base is just 6A minus 2A, which means this length is 4A. Height, our height starts down here on the x-axis and goes straight up. And if we look over here on the y-axis, we can see it's right in between 6B and 4B. So the height is 5B. So let's just do the math. 1/2 times 4 times 5. That's just 10 A times B. 49. Point M will remain fixed in one spot and point Q will move to the right along the x-axis. As Q continues to move to the right, which of the following statements describes what will happen to the slope of MQ? All right, so let's go back here and erase what I've drawn there. So first off, what is the slope from M to Q to begin with? Well, it's negative because we're going downhill from left to right. And the rise over run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the run is 1, 2. So the slope of MQ to start with, negative 5 over 2. Or we could write that as a decimal, negative 2.5. Now, if we move that point Q to the right, let's just move it out here. So let's say this is the new point Q. The slope is still negative, and it's always going to be negative even if we keep moving it down the x-axis to the right. It'll always be going downhill from left to right. But what's happened to the slope? Now we're going down 5, right 1, 2, 3, 4. So the new slope is negative 5 over 4. As a decimal, that's negative 1.25. So still negative, but that is getting bigger because it's getting closer to 0. So if we look at the answer choices, it's going to increase, but it's never going to be positive. It's always going to be going downhill from left to right. And then finally, number 50, one of the following values is equal to f of 5a. Which one? All right, so we want to figure out, okay, what is this function equal to when x is 5a? Well, here's 5a right here. So if we go up, we can see it intersects with this triangle here at this point, which if we look on the y-axis, that looks like it's halfway in between 2b and 3b. So that's 2.5b. If you look at the choices, I don't see 2.5b. So it must be talking about this parabola. So if we keep going up where x is 5a, we intersect the parabola here. If we look over to the left on the y-axis, it's equivalent to 8b. All right, and then 51, 12 jurors are needed for the upcoming trial. The diagram below illustrates a part of the process of the jury selection. The 12 jurors will be selected from a jury of a pool of about 60 people. The court records show a trend that only 40% of the people who are summoned for jury duty actually appear, and that of the people who appear, 1/3 are excused. If the same trend continues, how many people should be summoned to have close as possible to 60? So that close as possible phrase tells me we may not get an exact answer, but there should be an answer that's somewhere in the vicinity of what we're looking for here. And right off the bat, we can rule out a couple answers. How many people should be summoned to have as close as 60 people in the jury pool? Well, there has to be more than 40. There has to be more than 60. And I can probably think 90, that's not going to be big enough either if we start with 60 and we end up with 12. So in this problem, we start with 60 people that have been summoned. 40% of the people who are summoned actually appear. So let's think, what is 40% of 60? So 0.4 times 60 is 24. So 24 of those appear, and of those 24 that appear, 1/3 of them are excused. So 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 8 are excused. That means there's 16 left in the jury pool. So what percentage is that? 16 we end up with divided by 60. 16 divided by 60 is 0.27. So they're saying 27% of the original number. That gives us what our jury pool is going to be. So what I would do is I would take each one of these answer choices and multiply it by 0.27. 150 times 0.27 is roughly 40.5. Remember, we want 60 people in the jury pool. 225 times 0.27, that's 60.75. So that's not exactly 60, but it's real close. And that phrase, close as possible, was kind of the key there, that we weren't getting an exact value there.